Welcome, everybody, to the show. Joining me tonight is our co-host and fellow traveler, Dan the Dan Noodles Man, the Harvey Picar of wargaming. Actually, Dan, you do look a little like Harvey Picar. I'm just saying. Anyway,
Okay.
we're going to talk about kitchen sink war games tonight. And Dan actually mentioned one in the pre-show conversation that I would consider falling into that category. War and Flames, I think, is the kitchen sink war game. It has a lot of stuff. It has a lot of different levels of simulation in it.
What game did you say?
World in Flames.
Oh, World in Flames. Yeah.
A lot of different kinds of mechanics. Now, which version of it do you have? You have the collector's edition, right?
I have the classic.
The giant box.
Yeah, well, giant.
Yeah. It's pretty giant.
Well, it's heavy.
In fairness.
It's not as giant as the ogre giant box.
I'd have to do measure. I don't have ogre, so I'd have to measure that. But that's a huge box.
I'm talking about the
super, yeah, the Kickstarter ogre. That weighs.
It's like this, man.
The first year that was available, I saw it just like sitting on. They weren't playing it. They might have been playing it. I don't know. But they had the box sitting on a table when I was walking past at Origins, and I was like, I had to stop, and I said, "You young child, come here and pick that box up." And I'm going to take a picture to see the size comparison between this child and the ogre box. And they were approximately the same size. So Twilight Imperium's another good example, actually. It's got kind of influences from all over the place. There are some Euro elements to it. I haven't played the 4th edition Twilight Imperium, but there's some Euro elements to it and some pretty traditional wargame elements that date back to the original edition.
So that game takes how many people to really make it work?
Twilight Imperium?
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to play it with less than about 5. Oh,
really? And we're talking about like a easy 8-hour game.
That's certainly true by reputation, and it's approximately true in my experience with the 3rd edition. The 4th edition's supposed to play a little bit faster, though.
Because one of my friends, one of my dear friends, I got him into gaming with Carcassonne, right?
Right.
Now that's all he wants to play. I said, let's try.
Carcassonne's a fun game. I mean,
there's other games. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I personally, this might sound super weird. I would personally, if I got an hour to kill, I'm going to play a game. I would rather play Minecraft than play Carcassonne. Minecraft.
Really?
Yeah.
What the hell's so fun about Minecraft?
It's just very relaxing to play. I don't play it. Usually I don't play it in survival. Well, I play it in survival mode, but with the monsters turned off. So it's just very relaxing. You're just looking for materials and building stuff.
I see. Okay.
It's relaxing. I was a very early supporter before Minecraft blew up. I had the original Java edition that notched
before Microsoft bought it.
Well before Microsoft bought it, yeah.
You know that guy sold it for $2 billion.
Yes, and now he lives alone in a mansion.
$2 billion.
Yep. If I had $2 billion, I would. If I win the lottery, folks, I'm going to build Ardwulf's Gaming Valhalla, which is going to be an amazing super center of gaming amazingness.
Yeah, but you're going to piss off Noble Knight and the Canadian retailers and all that.
No. I wouldn't try and step on Noble Knight. It would be more of a play space. I mean, you'd sell stuff too, but there would be like a cafe in there, and there would be table space for whatever you want to do, and you want giant ass war games set up for 2 years. There'll be a spot for that. There'll be like event space. I got it all planned out in my idle fantasy time.
What about beverages and herbs?
That depends on the legal status of said herbs, but there would be like a cafe with coffee and donuts and sandwiches and stuff. So anyway, my notion behind the term kitchen sink war game was actually inspired by Nations in Arms from Compass and designer Stanislaw Thomas, because it's got kind of a lot going on in there. There's cards, but there's also a chip pull mechanism. It's a hex grid. The units kind of have steps, but they kind of represent discrete units at the same time. So they're kind of a hybrid between like just strength points, like you might see, in a War and Peace, versus like a discrete unit that you might see in, say, Campaigns of Napoleon from Kevin Zucker, for example.
Hey, Jeff Beeler mentioned the War Room. Cody Carlson really loves that game.
War Room. I've seen it. Somebody had it on a table last year at Winterfest. It looks neat. I mean, it's from Larry Harris, that is the original designer of Axis and Allies. So Larry's got a good pedigree. It's probably cool, but it's expensive, and it kind of, for me, kind of does stuff I've already got games to do.
I understand.
Like World in Flames and A World at War and The War and PTO and ETO and Advanced PTO and ETO. And War in Europe and War in the Pacific and several that I'm not remembering. So,
look at
plus Pacific War and Empire of the Sun and all that jazz.
Danny, my nemesis, Danny Sakari.
Yeah, we got to get a game of this going, Dan. You'd hate it.
Empires in Arms.
Yeah, you'd hate it. It's got a huge negotiation element to it.
That's Napoleonic, right?
It is, yeah.
That's huge.
In terms of like components, it's not that big, but it does take a while to play, and it's pretty bookkeepy, and a lot of people will bounce off it for that reason.
Can we still get that game?
No. Well, yeah, sure. It's called eBay and Noble Knight.
And what's the price going to be?
Under $100.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, mine was about 50. Mine was punched when I got it. I never owned it till like 3 or 4 years ago. Mine was punched when I got it, but it's complete. I checked.
But that's not the ultimate Napoleonic game.
That depends who you talk to. I think a lot of people would actually say that it is. Of course, I was thinking about this today. In the context of nations in arms, it seems to me, many strategic level Napoleonic games are in some way answers to Avalon Hill's War and Peace, right? Just like many strategic level World War II games are answers to Third Reich. That's not to necessarily say that they are like they lean mechanically on Third Reich or War and Peace, but they were designed in a space where we already had Third Reich and War and Peace. You know what I mean?
Like I hear there's a lot of diplomacy in Empire in Arms.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Think of it as diplomacy, with like an actual rules system there, right? With all the diplomacy stuff going on as well. So it tends to swing wildly ahistorical. I've sometimes said, and I think you could make the case, I'm not necessarily saying I'm going to die on this particular hill, that Empires in Arms is not a war game. It's a role-playing game with some war game elements to it.
Is that
because
what it is?
Negotiation is so important to it.
Wow.
I mean, that's a particular way to look at it. So I'm not trying to make that as an absolute truth claim here, but I think there is a sense in which that is true.
Look at Todd Cox, fighting formations. I have them all. And the system in there's a grid where you go so many times, and I think the next time your opponent goes, and supposedly it's really interesting. I remember like reading it, but I've forgotten all that now.
I'd like to try fighting formations at some point. Same with Enemy Coast Ahead. Fighting formations, and then there's what's the other one? Damn it, that GMT has.
Deutschland.
No. That's part of fighting formations.
So you're talking about the series Fighting Formation. The other one is
No. I'm asking about the other series that comes from GMT that I'm drawing a blank on here. Somebody throw it in the chat. It's not Fighting Formations. It's not Combat Commander. It's the other one. That is a lot of people feel is very innovative, and I'd like to try it. But that applies to, and it's not Fields of Fire either. Which last 100 yards, Molotov Cockatiel.
Oh, that's a Denson game. Mike Denson game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's. I only have the first one, but that's a game to look at.
Yeah, I hear it's very innovative and unsquad leader like, which is actually a little unusual. A lot of World War II tactical games are, again, even if they're not tried, it's kind of Mount Fuji, right? Where I think this is a Terry Pratchett quote that I'm not going to dig up. I'm going to paraphrase it. Where you'll notice that in every Japanese print, there's Mount Fuji's in the picture. Unless the artist has deliberately chosen not to put Mount Fuji in the picture, or the artist is standing on Mount Fuji, right? It's kind of the same thing, right? Any other tactical game post Squad Leader was designed in a world in which there is Squad Leader. So we can safely assume that most or all maybe of those designers have had some experience with Squad Leader, right? Or ASL or what have you.
Oh, there, Enrique Romero says it's the order mechanics. Yes, it is awesome.
Yeah, that's actually the thing that sounds interesting about it to me. That's a Chad Jensen design, is it not?
Yeah, and the thing is that it's Fog of War in a different thingy.
I love this. The last 91.4 meters. You gotta love that.
He's got to be Canadian, right?
I don't know. Well,
or
Blue Tweezers is
except the States.
Is Blue Tweezers British or Australian? I'm having trouble with accents today. So, I think he's British, though. Because I think they're official NHS Tweezers.
Hey, look at what Charles Latour is saying about fighting formations. And the thing is that I remember bringing it to Carl's house, Carl Paradzi, and he just lost it on me. I told Chad Jensen not to make the chits top side down or on the side, what the hell? It's confusing. He was losing it.
Well, Carl has opinions, right? That's okay. I don't mind Carl having opinions. I don't agree with all Carl's opinions, but neither do you. Carl does not agree with all of my opinions. So
no, hey, look, man, he's the guy's a genius. What do you want, man?
Oh, Carl? Oh, sure.
Oh, Christ. Without question.
Sure. Very, very clever designer. So there we go. Non-linear values of counter breakdown.
He makes great sandwiches.
I'd still like to try it. Who, Carl?
Yeah.
So you're saying he's a sandwich genius too?
Oh, I remember him. But the thing he's not boastful about it. He just tells you, I make really good sandwiches. And I'm like, all right. And I taste it.
Okay.
It's really fucking good. You don't like
well,
it?
Hey, if he's puts his money where his mouth is, or his sandwich where his mouth is, I guess. Then I guess that's okay, right? So, yeah, with a variety of kind of disconnected mechanics is kind of what I'm thinking. The MMP sale might still be on, but it's the end of it's coming up any time, and it might actually be over. It was still on last night if you checked the stream. So,
let's see here.
So this is the second sale, right? This is the special flash sale that only ran. I think it ran from like Saturday or Sunday to last night, like midnight last night or something like that. And MMP is in Eastern time, so.
Talking about Carol Paradzi, he's actually forcing me to create a game.
Really?
And I know nothing about a game. And he says, that's neither here nor there. He says, give me an idea, work your idea, this and this and that. And you know what? I'm having a hard time.
Well, it's not a bad idea. Have you picked a topic?
No, I'm having a hard time. He's leaving it up to me.
Oh, okay.
So I throw ideas at the guy and he says, nope, already done. And shows me the link. Nope, no good. Nope. And what are you going to do about this? Nope.
So here's my suggestion. Find a documentary with a topic that you think is interesting. I don't care what kind of documentary it is. It could be a documentary about the Battle of Britain, but not like all of World War II. I'm not talking about like the World at War, Laurence Olivier narrating. I'm talking about something like the Battle of Britain, or even here's an idea. Have you ever seen a movie called? Oh fuck! What's it called? I'll have to look it up. Hold on a second.
Jeez, you're forgetting everything. What, are you turning into me or what?
Yeah, I know. I do this a lot, man. So, there is a documentary movie. I don't watch that many documentaries, okay? But I do occasionally find that sometimes there'll be a documentary that's so well done, even if it's about something that I have no real interest in. That I will find it absolutely fascinating. I'm trying to figure out what this movie is. When We Were Kings. You know the movie I'm talking about?
It rings a bell.
It's a documentary about Muhammad Ali.
Oh,
and
yes.
it's amazing.
Yes.
And it's not like his life story. It's a about the rumble in the jungle where he fought George Foreman. So,
And it's fun. George Foreman. I remember George Foreman talking, I think, before Ali died, and they were talking about the rope-a-dope. Yeah, the Thriller in Manila, wasn't it?
was that
Or
Joe
was that
Frazier?
Frazier?
I thought that was Joe Frazier.
Okay, I don't know. I mixed up. Anyways, and George Foreman is saying, "Man, I'm beating the shit out of this guy. I'm giving him everything I have." And at one point, we're both tired, and Ali looks at me and says, "Is that all you got, George?" Jesus.
George hit pretty hard, but I'll tell you what.
God.
If for some reason, TikTok wants to show me a shitload of boxing videos. If you ask either Muhammad Ali, they're both on record saying this multiple times. Who hit them the hardest? They'll both give you the same answer. Ernie Shavers.
Ernie Shavers.
Ernie Shavers. I'll tell you what. If you watch the Shavers Ali fight, Ali wins the fight because Ali was the greatest, right? But if you see how hard Ernie Shavers hit Muhammad Ali, it's a miracle Ali was still recovered from the shot that I'm thinking of.
Oh, he can take a beating.
Yeah. So anyway,
talking about boxing, did you ever see the Gotti and Ward trilogy?
No. I hear that's go. So wasn't the last one like the one of the undercard fights? For the Floyd, what's his name, and Mike Tyson thing?
I
don't know. But maybe not.
No, but this trilogy with Gotti and Ward, you have to sit down to watch that and wear diapers.
Okay, I guess it's a good fight then.
I think one of the fights, one of the guys breaks his hand.
Huh. Okay. Yeah. Okay. No, this is definitely not the fight I'm thinking of. So, I don't know. I'm not like super boxing guy, but like I said, TikTok seems to think I am. So,
Charles Nolan, will you give me a break?
George Foreman grill. Yes, indeed. I think everybody actually had one of those.
I didn't.
Because somebody bought him one for Christmas.
No, I didn't have any.
Oh, Butterbean. Yeah, I remember him.
That guy hits, man.
Oh, he hit pretty hard. Little bit on the slow side. But he would never have laid a paw on Muhammad Ali.
Well, no, he would dance around him. I saw Butterbean in one of those stupid movies that the Steve-O did. What are they called?
The shit. I know the movie where they do stupid stunts where they jump off buildings.
So anyways, Butterbean was in a kiosk where they sold sports stuff. And they were going to do a fight there. One of the guys with Butterbean. And he's looking at Butterbean and he's saying, "Come on, you fat bastard. I'll smash you." I think Butterbean hurt him so bad. Hurt him so bad. Jackass, yeah.
I've seen a couple of the Jackass movies. I don't know that I watched the show. There are certainly, it's kind of skit-based things, so some of it is funny and some of it's like really cringe, if you ask me.
Well, I mean, the guy is hanging on a tightrope with a piece of meat up his ass, and there's an alligator trying to, you know what I mean? Like, is he stupid, man?
Yeah, yes, I think it's safe to say those guys are stupid.
Christ!
That's true. Snoop Dogg disapproves. If Snoop Dogg is questioning your life choices, perhaps you should too. That's my life motto right there. Would Snoop Dogg think this is stupid? Then maybe I should think about not doing it.
You know what? You gotta give that guy respect, because if you don't, he'll shoot you.
Oh, Snoop Dogg? Nah.
Man, I hear he's the biggest gangster around.
Oh, he's a cupcake. What are you kidding?
Yeah,
Snoop Dogg.
That's right.
What would Snoop Dogg do? So there should be T-shirts for this actually.
That looks like a war game.
Yeah, I got a shirt planned. What would Sherman do? So that's coming.
What's Jenkins' Ear?
The War of Jenkins' Ear. It's part of the War of the Austrian succession, I think.
I know nothing about that, man. I wanted to do something.
It's the part of that happens in the Western Hemisphere, basically.
I wanted to do something about the deportation of the Acadians, because I have.
There you go. I'm sure
Yeah,
there's a fine French-Canadian documentary about that, right?
yes, but you know what Carl said? So, okay, they got deported. So now what are you going to do? You're going to fight the British?
Well, you got to turn the idea into a game, right? You could do it. Remember, it doesn't have to be a war game. If it's interesting, that's all
No,
you
it
need.
doesn't.
Right?
It doesn't. I'd like to stick to a war game, but I wanted
Well, then
something.
find a different topic. I don't know that the deportation of the Acadians is going to be. It's going to turn into a war game. But we do have Marco Petre's game on the rebellion in Lower Canada. That
Yeah, I know.
So, yeah, and Jenkins, right? So,
hey, man, is there the upcoming games? Are you looking at a certain game that you want there, Ardy?
the topic I almost picked was upcoming war games, but I thought that 10 minutes before the show, I don't know that I could put that topic together. There are a number of things that I am looking forward to very much, from Compass, from GMT, from Decision, from MMP, from there's a couple things from Revolution Games. I'll buy whatever Blind Swords games they want to do, for example. I suspect that there's the reprint of yeah, okay. Now I had to think about this for a minute. I think my number one most anticipated game that I expect to be out in 2025 is Thunderbolt from GMT. That's my suspicion. I hear this is fantastic, by the way. And you could, whether it's out or not, you could play it at Compass Expo because Greg's there running it. So, and he's got prizes and everything. It's kind of awesome, actually.
Hold on a second. This is another Greg the Animal Smith game.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. Actually, we should use that.
I use it all the time. Greg the Animal Smith.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy, he's prolific. It's insane.
Oh, it's actually hilarious because you should see him show up at Compass Games with literally like 30 different prototypes of games that are. Some of them are pretty far. Some of them are not, but some of them are pretty far along. So. I'm also looking very much forward to Forgotten Battles from MMP. Whatever Carl Fung wants to do with BCS, I'm delighted to buy. I think the next one's probably going to be the Stalingrad thing.
So Carl Fung is the guy now, for MMP?
He's running a lot for MMP. I believe Lee Forrester is the honcho for TCS and maybe SCS. But I think once we hit the end of the year and Chip Chip's going to continue to do some development work because he's been developing a couple of those games in the pipeline already. But he's not going to be the honcho anymore. Carl's going to be the honcho. So Carl's going to be running OCS, BCS, TCS, I think TCS, Line of Battle, and something else that I don't remember. So Carl's going to be very busy. Remember, we joked about when we had Carl on, we joked about how young he looked. We'll have him on about a year from now, and he'll look 30 years older. It's going to be hilarious.
Okay. But who's the marketing guy for MMP?
Pete Bartlett.
Is he a big guy?
I wouldn't say he's a big guy, but he's a husky fellow. I've met Pete. Pete's great. We've had him on the show, Dan. Don't you remember?
Fuck no. I remember going to MMP and look, and this guy was at the MMP booth, the most miserable human being I've ever seen in my life.
Who?
This on MMP, the MMP booth. He was part of MMP. He was a big stalker.
Oh, at WBC, that's probably Brian. That'd be my guess. Pete's bald. You'll identify Pete very easily. Pete's great. I've had a couple brief conversations with Brian, and that's about the extent of my interaction with him. He is a scholar, though.
I couldn't have a conversation with him because he didn't acknowledge my presence.
Brian was not there at either of the last. Maybe he just wasn't at the booth when I was in there, but I didn't see Brian at either of the last two WBCs. So,
and you know what?
Battle of Solferino, the birth of modern Italy. There's a lot of good Italian history you can use here, Dan.
That's Napoleon.
Actually, here's a great topic for you. It's just not. You could make this a little bit war gamier. Game about Lucky Luciano.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, but
helping the Allies in World War II, spying on the dockyards in Italy.
That's good. Hey, that guy was a genius, man.
Well, I don't know about that, but he was in the right
Yeah.
place at the right time. That's for sure. Tony from Tony's Board Life. How's it going? Monkey
Even
Shoulder.
Stu-
Good choice. Awesome. And congrats on finishing the master's degree. That's fantastic.
Congrats, man. Congrats. Stuka Joe's in the house too.
Indeed, he is. And we got almost 90 people here. Actually, that's good for Tuesday night. So
Oh,
Roma
you know
Victrix. I was kind of on Roma Victrix, and then they had a prototype on a table last year at Compass Expo, and I was like, this actually looks fairly interesting. So I will be investigating Roma Victrix. It's been in the pipeline for quite a while. So
You know, talking about Compass Games, John Krantz. What the hell is going to happen now?
well, I don't know. In terms of internally, I don't know. I mean, maybe they'll have to hire somebody to replace him. John's, I think, gift was that John knew everybody, pretty much, literally everybody. And so he was able to make some connections about the older games that he was kind of running for Compass that other people might not necessarily have found it as easy to do. Because he could probably just call up, hey, Eric Lee Smith, what do you got going on this weekend? I want to talk to you about reprinting, blah, 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 blah. And then, they walk out of that conversation with some kind of verbal agreement to do something. Or, whoever it is. I'm just pulling that name out of the
I
hat.
kind of feel bad for Bill because John is leaving. I don't know.
Who's Bill going to abuse now? And so Bill will be fine. He will abuse Billy and what's his name?
Julian.
Julian, yes.
Yeah.
He better not abuse Brittany, though. Bill, if you're watching, you better respect Brittany. So, no. Emphatically, John is not changing his role with Consim World or the Consim World Expo. He is leaving. He is leaving the full-time employment of Compass because he got offered a lucrative corporate job. They made him an offer he couldn't refuse, and he did not. So,
but you know what? I'm sure Bill paid him quite well too, so it must be really substantial.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nobody makes a lot of money in this business, Dan. I don't know.
I remember John telling me he pays me well.
Well, okay, he's not going to tell you. Yeah, Bill's a tightwad. I mean, although that would be funny, actually. But I wouldn't expect him to tell me that. I mean, he could pay well for. I have no knowledge of what John got paid. Okay, so we're just talking. I don't know. It seems unlikely that he made as much as he would make from a corporate job. Let me put
What's my nemesis saying there? Danny Secretary Crickets.
Danny Secretary Crickets.
What's the matter with that guy?
I don't know.
What's the matter with you?
I hear you guys eat crickets up in Canada. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I ate crickets, and you know what? They taste nutty and earthy. And the thing is that once you eat a couple of crickets there, and you don't eat crickets on a date because you'll have like a cricket leg sticking out of your. I swear to God.
Yeah, well,
I swear to God.
I'm not in danger of doing either of those things.
No, I swear to God, that's going to happen.
So, yeah, exactly. I think the position John is a senior IT position. Those folks make pretty good bread. So,
man, Compass is. I'm trying to find the Gladiator game there, and Compass.
I don't know if it's on the website yet.
No, but they're putting the pre-orders that Compass has. It's amazing.
Well, they have a lot on pre-order.
Yeah, and you know what, Greg the Animal Smith there, he's on the forefront.
Well, that is also the least surprising thing I've heard so far this week, because he is exceptionally prolific. John Stanley, thanks so much. This is not a bad idea, Dan. One of the battles of the Sanzo River in World War One. So
that's World War One. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I really like that Lucky Luciano and the diplomacy he did with the Americans.
Yeah. Now, how do you turn that into a game? I don't know. That's a question for a real game designer. I don't know. But, everybody started out as just not a game designer, and sometimes they end up designing games. So,
no, I'm not a game designer.
It's interesting me neither, right? So, I guess I am, right? Because I've designed a couple of games. Nobody's ever seen them. And the one that people had seen, nobody saw it because nobody cared. But this is accurate. But everybody's got to start somewhere, and Mark Herman Mark's book came out, by the way. It looks fantastic.
Look at that.
Mark, you read the introduction to this, and it's like Mark's not telling you how to design games when he's giving his thoughts on game design. He's kind of exploring his process for designing games. That process looks different for different people, right? We've talked to designers. Some designers are like, no, this is my thing. This is the game I was working on. Milt Janowski was like that. I asked Milt, what are you going to do next? And he's like, next, I'm done. This was the game I wanted to do. And he had no intention, at least when I talked to him, of doing anything else, right? Bruce Harper is pretty much World at War and World at War adjacent stuff, and that's pretty much it. So some designers are like that. They focus very tightly on the thing, and they don't see any need to go design a bunch of things on a million different topics. Then you got Joe Miranda and Richard Berg.
Bloody hell. I didn't know Richard Berg did the Battle for Africa, whatever, that big, huge SPI.
Campaign for North Africa that you can't see on the shelf behind me anymore because I moved it. I
can't believe he did that.
Well, he did. That's the Bergiest war game that ever Berged, if you know what I'm saying.
But I mean, that's minutia at its best, isn't it?
Berg had a tendency across the board to get lost in the chrome, okay? And depending on a lot of different factors, including who's helping him with the game, what company it was through, and the developer, and whatever. Berg had a tendency to get lost in the chrome, and it's very evident in certain designs, and in many other designs, it's like, yeah, there's a lot of chrome here, but it's fine. There were no holds barred on Campaign for North Africa.
No.
that is a game about the chrome. So there you go, Dan. Just pick Gettysburg, Waterloo, Normandy, or the Bulge.
You know what? No.
So, and I liked Berg as a designer, but that doesn't mean that I'm blind to his flaws as a designer, right? So,
no, but still,
nobody gets absolutely everything right.
Mozart did.
Yeah, okay, but that's a singular, once in a century type of talent too, right?
Bach did.
Different century though.
You're right.
So,
no, I read the Pasta Rules yesterday, Charles. I swear to God, it's hilarious.
How into classical music are you, Dan?
How into classical music am I?
Yeah.
Big time.
Why are so many of the classical composers Germans?
Hold on a second. Hold on. No, you're wrong.
What do you mean I'm wrong?
You're really going to the period, the classical period.
Well, right.
Austrian. Mozart was Austrian.
Austrians are Germans, Dan.
Why were they? Because that was the place to be at that time, man.
Certainly for music. It just occurred to me that like very few of those of the composers from that period were French.
Well, you got to go back.
Not none, but not that many.
No, yeah, not classical. Not classical. You got to go to Baroque, or you got to go to Romantic and past.
Right.
Then the Frenchmen take over, man.
Okay, that makes sense. This is not a bad idea, actually, if you want to do something more gaming. We just got a game about the Battle of Lake Ontario. The Battle of Lake Erie is not that interesting. So,
and it's funny, eh? It's a bloody lake, but it's huge. No, man. Worthington did some games, Great Lakes battles, the Chesapeake thingy.
Okay, you have a Leveon Mas?
Leveon. God damn it. That's your fault, Ardy.
Okay.
That scared the shit out of me.
Classic. Captain Nolan's given us some French composers here. I think it's very safe to say that the casual classical music person has never heard of any of these people.
Well,
Philidor, maybe.
I was going to say Captain Nolan. Let me see if I know any of those names. And I studied.
Oh, here's some more.
Here's some more. Yes.
St. George, I've heard of. That's it. Out of all these people.
Touche Moulin is maybe coming to my head, but these are not the commercial people. The top 40. Top 40 was Beethoven and all that, because they do have top 40.
Beethoven, Bach, Mozart, Haydn, Rossini, Vivaldi, Bach. These aren't in order.
You know, Haydn is German, and he was
classical. Yeah. Oh yeah.
You ever see that cartoon where it's Bugs Bunny? Leopold.
Yeah, of course I remember that. I am of that generation.
That was Mozart's dad.
Leopold. Yeah, decent number. The Russian composers tend to be later. Tchaikovsky was 19th century, as I recall.
That guy's amazing.
I mean, there's a bunch of good Soviet era composers. Stravinsky, Prokofiev. I'm a big fan of Prokofiev specifically.
Yeah, there's Prokofiev. There's Stravinsky, Mussorgsky. There's Rachmaninoff. There's what's the other guy with an S? Yeah.
You said Stravinsky already.
No, but there's another guy with an S there.
Shostakovich. Dmitri Shostakovich.
And that guy was like I think he was a PhD in math or something.
Oh, okay. Strauss and Strauss. This was a whole family of Strausses. So,
you know, have you ever heard not Richard Strauss, but the waltz guy? Did you ever go see a symphony and listen to the Blue Danube?
I have listened to the Blue Danube many times, but my introduction, and I cannot get this out of my head when I hear the Blue Danube, which is a great waltz and a great piece of music.
Oh my God!
I cannot get the space station sequence from 2001: A Space Odyssey out of my head, and I suspect that I'm not the only person like that, because I was a kid when I saw that the first time, and of course I had no idea what the freaking movie was about, but you know that's not important. Big space station, cool. So, I really appreciated the use of Wagner in John Boorman's Excalibur. I think it was the perfect venue for that.
You know, I got to watch that again and hear that music, because
it's a great music. Yeah, it's got some Wagner in it, a couple different Wagner pieces. There's some like soundtrack music composed for the film too in it. But the piece that everybody there's two pieces from the film that everybody remembers. One is Siegfried's Funeral March at the beginning and at the end. But then there's the Orff's Carmina Burana, which is played I think at least twice in the movie, but at least once. And there's a super duper memorable scene where King Arthur is very sick, and Gawain, whoever it was, brings him the cup, and he's rejuvenated. And he calls his knights to battle, and they're riding to battle for the final time, and the trees that were all withered are all blossoming again as Carmina Burana plays. It's amazing. That scene is on YouTube.
You know, I performed Carmina Burana a lot, and I was the mallet player, right? So I played when I think the nuns cut off the balls of the priest. And they fall down, so I had to do so I was the balls guy.
Yes, it was. Ride of the Valkyrie is in Apocalypse Now. That everybody knows that. So orchestral war games. Hey, we're on topic. We're talking about Apocalypse Now. So
orchestral war games. You know, Hitler loved Wagner.
Well, stop clock is right twice a day.
Was Wagner anti-Semitic?
Yes.
He was, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of came to the territory of where he was when he was, but, you know, he was probably above average anti-Semitic even at the time.
Yeah.
Would be my guess.
But you know what?
So
it's
I'll tell you what, there were a lot of really crazy philosophical ideas in the 19th century. And a lot of them came out of Germany or England.
You know, I met a lot of artists, and if you really like an artist, don't meet them.
I don't think that's the worst advice. Nowadays, that's not necessary, though, because you're going to end up having some sense of artist or musician or game design or whoever. We don't really have that problem in our hobby, but
no,
a lot of legit superstars go crazy after a while. That's true. What is the best war movie soundtrack, Dan?
For me,
mm-hmm.
It's got to be a Jerry Goldsmith, man. But I know Ennio Morricone did the Battle for Algiers.
I haven't seen that.
I haven't seen it either. I gotta check it out. But Jerry Goldsmith, right? Goldsmith.
Jerry Goldsmith. What movie though?
Well, he did Cross of Iron.
Did he?
I think so.
I don't really remember the Cross of Iron soundtrack.
Neither do I, but I think he did it.
Yeah.
Listen,
Apocalypse Now is pop music for the most part. But so what? It's still got it still has a great use of the music in the movie.
There you go. Grognard Rich. Not Platoon, but Patton.
Patton, yeah. Somebody already said. Major Green says Patton, yeah. I really like. I think this is my choice. A Bridge Too Far.
But that Bridge Too Far is
Richard Atkinson or Allinson or something like that. Yeah, it's somebody. It's not anybody that I'm familiar with outside of that. He did other stuff. I just not something I'm familiar with. Lawrence of Arabia is pretty good. So, this is probably a truism, generally speaking. You have had a certain amount of cultural impact if The Simpsons is making fun of you. Or South Park, I suppose. You're likely to be more comfortable with The Simpsons making fun of you, though.
What was A Bridge Too Far?
The third bridge.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I'm talking about the composer. I don't know who it was.
Hold on.
John Addison. Captain Nolan.
Yeah. John Addison. That's right. Very good. So we got the best chat here. Oh God, I haven't seen. I need to see this again.
What is that?
This is I want to say late 70s or early 80s Vietnam movie, and the guys who play the troops. It's a lot structurally. It's a lot like Full Metal Jacket, where you start at boot camp and then they go to Vietnam, right? And I saw it in the early 80s, mid 80s maybe, and I liked it at the time. And I didn't recognize the most important salient feature of this movie. The guys who play the soldiers that go through boot camp and they go to Vietnam are a bunch of nobodies that most people have not heard of. Guess who plays the drill instructor? Ardy Ermy.
Who's that?
The drill instructor from Full Metal Jacket.
Oh, okay. Lee Emery or something.
Ardy Ermy.
Yeah. That guy was awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. He really Kubrick. So he's much more restrained to my recollection in The Boys and Company. See, he pretty much came up with all his own dialogue. This is unheard of for Stanley Kubrick production. Really? Stanley Kubrick was just for that one time. He's like, yeah, okay, go, just go. Yeah, go. You got it. Go. He was the technical advisor on the movie, and they had hired an actor to do the role, and he was going to coach the actor, and he was just so much better than the actor that they hired. They gave the actor a different part somewhere else in the movie.
That guy's beautiful. You know, Lee Emery. Did you see the Geico commercial where he's a psychiatrist?
No.
So he's a psychiatrist in the Geico commercial, right? And the guy's talking and he's crying, and I did this and I did that. And Lee Emery's writing, and all of a sudden he passes in the Kleenex box and he throws the box at him. Here you namby-pamby-land. It's hilarious. Hilarious.
Yeah, I think this is true. He had some lines, as I recall. Last of the Mohicans, I don't know if I'd call Last of the Mohicans a war movie, but it does have a great soundtrack. I can't argue with that.
Grognard Rich Platoon used Adagio for Strings by Strauss, right? Right, Grognard, it's by Richard Strauss.
Well, Grognard Rich will answer here. It's all good. But I have this idea, a public policy idea, Dan. I want the TSA to make a new rule that says that every flight needs to have one flight crew member of the not the pilot side of it, but the flight attendants that used to be a drill instructor. So they get those people off that plane in a much more efficient way than the Marines preferred.
Samuel Barber, thank you. I stand corrected.
There you go.
Yes,
well, the big thing that the Gale song or whatever it's called, the one piece that everybody remembers out of Last of the Mohicans, that's taken from somewhere else. The guy that did the rest of the soundtrack did not come up with that piece. It's called The Gale, I believe. You can search for it. Is this Tie a Yellow Ribbon by Tony Orlando and Dawn? Is that what we're talking about here?
I don't think so.
I saw that on YouTube the other day too, actually.
Yeah, those were great times, man. I must have been about 5.
Yeah, I remember that from like when I was about 5, actually. That was approximately the time that came out.
You know, watching those shows, the Donnie and Marie and the Captain and Tennille, you don't need to do drugs, man.
You might want to. Lethal drugs is what you'd want to be on watching that television.
I was just watching Lawrence Welk, man. You know, that's hard.
Yeah, no kidding.
And Kilroy was here.
No thanks.
There's Kilroy, man.
That was here. He is here.
Guy's always busy. He sends me videos. I don't know what the hell he's
No. You don't have to insult anybody's mother. Just get a cadence going. Get people, get shouting. Move it out. Everybody's got places to go and connecting flights to get to. Get the hell off my plane.
Move.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, did you see the Saturday Night Live skit? The Bye-Bye?
I don't know.
Skit?
With, I don't know.
I forget the guy. Chris Farley used to have this small guy.
Okay.
What's his name?
Dana Carvey?
Is it Dana Carvey?
It could be. I don't know. He's a little guy on SNL.
Yeah. So I guess it was Dana Carvey, and they were doing the bye-bye because people were complaining. They were just saying bye-bye, and pushing him off the plane. I thought that was fantastic.
That actually sounds amusing, I have to say. I would. David Spade says Kilroy. There we go.
You know, John Barry's a hell of a composer, man.
Did a lot of very good. But did he do a bunch of? Am I thinking of somebody else, or did he do a bunch of the James Bond soundtracks?
Yeah, that's it. That's all you got to do when you're a billionaire.
Yeah. I don't remember this. I haven't seen this movie since at least 1985. So I should watch it again. It's probably on streaming somewhere, right?
Hey, does Old Men for No Country or No Country for Old Men, does it have a soundtrack?
I haven't seen that. I hear it's good. Geez. I haven't seen it though.
Yeah, you're gonna shake when you see that movie.
Everybody's distracted. You might not notice the music because you're distracted by Javier Bardem's haircut. So,
but he's incredible.
I've seen the clips. He's a great actor anyway. He's been great in everything I've seen him in. Which is not that much. I've seen Skyfall. I've seen, of course, the Dune films.
You know what? Who was it? Was what's his face? The new Mozart. What's his name? Who did Dune? The composer.
Hans Zimmer.
Yeah. Sometimes his music is just forgetful, man.
I would agree with that. Actually, he doesn't bat 1,000. But there's a lot of good Hans Zimmer soundtracks.
I mean, this is the new Mozart. The guy's amazing.
Well, I'm not going to compare anybody to Mozart, but except possibly Mark Herman to make him turn red in the face. But
you know, what? I like that. I like that comparison because you were right. How can you compare Mozart? That's good because even Einstein didn't have the brain that Mozart had.
Well, Einstein had a different brain. He had Einstein's brain. Mozart had Mozart's brain. You can't compare anybody to Einstein either, right?
Yeah, but Mozart's brain started working when he was like 2.
Well, maybe, but I suspect it was similar to Einstein, and it took time to be displayed, right? Mozart was raised in a musical family. He was surrounded by music all the time. His father was a composer, or a court musician or something. So that he fell into music naturally, I think, is not at all surprising. So. I really like the Gladiator soundtrack by Hans Zimmer. I really like the Batman soundtracks by Hans Zimmer, and his Man of Steel soundtrack I think is very good, actually.
Hey, do you consider Hawking in the same league as Einstein?
No.
You know what? Different era.
But that's not me saying Hawking was not as smart as Einstein, because there are ways in which. So I had the privilege of seeing Stephen Hawking speak once.
Really?
Yeah. At Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland.
That's insane.
The lecture that he gave is on YouTube. Actually, I was in that audience. Hawking, because of his physical disabilities, he had to come up with like new ways to do the math in his head because he couldn't write
And
anything down. So he would construct these geometric arguments that didn't require somebody with a whiteboard, right? So there it's a different thing. It's not I've I know a fair amount about Einstein and a fair amount about Hawking. So they were both geniuses. I don't know that one was necessarily smarter than the other one.
well,
They
look,
were both singular geniuses.
look what Captain Nolan said. Hawking was standing on the shoulders of
Sure,
giants,
as
and
Newton
and
as Newton
Einstein
himself said,
was. Yeah.
right? So, I mean that's progress, right? Or
Yes.
progress, as the Canadians call it.
But the thing is, Einstein, man, this guy is still in 100 years. He's still gonna be like, wow.
Stephen Hawking.
Einstein.
Oh yeah, well he's the probably the most famous scientist since Newton, right?
I mean,
And then Hawking is right now the only scientist that I could think of that might be more famous. That not even more famous. I'm not sure Hawking is as famous, but Hawking was with us until just a few years ago too. So Carl Sagan, on the other hand, was very famous for a long time, but hasn't been with us for quite a while.
Carl Sagan was a colloquial. He knew how to speak to idiots like me, and he was a stoner.
Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson is really famous now. I think the nature of fame is different now than it was in the pre-internet day,
and it shows with Neil deGrasse.
Yeah, I mean, Dan, honestly, Dan, you and I are famous within a certain context. The internet has given us the ability to be famous amongst the 81 people watching right now. So
thank you.
It has changed the dynamics of fame dramatically.
Thank you.
So, and there's that one YouTube guy, Mr. Beast or whatever it is. He's got like 100 million subscribers or some shit. I watched 5 minutes of him. I'm like, who watches this? What's up with this? This isn't like, this guy's not like more talented than me. I don't understand. Why does this guy have 100 million subscribers?
What about that guy who does the periodic tables? He looks like Marco Arnaldo in the future. Today we're going to talk about plutonium, and he's gray hair, and he's
no, I know who you're talking about. I forget what his name is. You're talking about the guy that used to be a professor at MIT.
How the hell do I know?
Or there's another guy who's like more of a chemistry guy. There's a physics professor at MIT that's got some very famous lectures that are also on YouTube. So yeah, I've heard. This is another one. I've like who. What's this guy bringing to the table? This is not a jealousy thing. I don't care.
Is he still around?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't watch this kind of shit.
Do you know how rich that guy is?
He's doing quite well from what I understand. So
okay. So someone mentions
one Halloween I'm dressing up as weird alien guy from the History Channel.
I'm just gonna go out naked.
Well, then the police will be called.
Yeah, of course.
I don't feel like Feynman was ever as famous as Einstein or even Hawking.
That guy is fine. I
love Feynman. You know, this reminds me to make another point about the nature of fame and I guess art too, because it's a mistake to assume that the people that we admire for their creative works or their scientific accomplishments or whatever are automatically awesome people too. Sometimes they're not. Everybody's got problems. I got problems. Dan's got problems. Even John Stanley has problems. John Madison definitely has problems. But his main problem is that he looks 20 years younger than he is. So,
but Richard Feynman, he was a student, man, when he was at the Los Alamos, the Manhattan Project. I mean,
I was incredibly excited when casting was announced for Oppenheimer because Jack Quaid, who is Dennis Quaid's son, by the way, and I think Meg Ryan's son. I think I could be wrong about that. What? Not that I know of, but he plays Feynman in Oppenheimer, and he's a great choice for Feynman. Feynman doesn't have a lot to do. I mean, he's got a couple of lines, but that's it.
That guy, he made a dent at the Manhattan Project, man.
He had a contribution. Yeah, there were a lot of people. A lot of people contributed to the Manhattan Project. That was the nature of the Manhattan Project.
I mean, look at the people he hung around with: Fermi, Oppenheimer.
I did not like the guy they hired to
Skyfall.
play Enrico Fermi in the movie. He's like 6.5 feet tall. I'm like,
That's wrong. That's wrong right there.
what's going on here, guys? Come on.
Yeah.
Everybody else, I was extremely happy with the casting. David Krumholtz, I think, plays I Robbie. Which is a fairly substantial part. He's excellent. Everybody, the movie's just well acted all around. So
David Imparato says, "Were you thinking of Michio Kaku?"
Michio Kaku, I think Michio Kaku's a crank. Personally,
He's losing it, man.
He's been losing it for a long time.
But the thing is, hold on, Ardy. We're talking about a serious brain here, talking about UFOs and talking about distant planets with I was going to say humans,
little green men,
life on it. Who am I to dispute against that guy? Are you kidding me?
Well, I don't have to take him seriously when he's talking, or watch when he's talking. So, and I don't. So I'll watch Neil deGrasse Tyson, but or a variety of other people. I'll watch Brian Cox, the physicist Brian Cox, not the actor Brian Cox. Although I will also watch the actor Brian Cox because he's kind of awesome.
Well, Brian Cox, is that British guy who looks like he's 20 years old?
That's the physicist Brian Cox, yeah.
Right.
Because the actor Brian Cox does not look like he's 20 years old.
Because that guy, that physicist, I understand him. But
yeah, I got this. I will be reading this sometime in the next few months. It's supposed to be good.
You know what I don't understand, Ardy? I don't understand that the space-time. I don't understand it.
Well, it's the same. Space and time are part of the same thing.
I know, but the thing is that the time, the faster you go, time slows down, and but you can never really go at the speed of light because light is always in front of you.
Yes, the speed of light goes the same speed regardless of what speed you're going. You
can never go as fast as light.
You can, but you'd have to have no mass.
Is that like no more in Spanish?
No mass. You have no mass. Mass is one of the physical properties of matter.
Yes.
And anything that has mass can't go at the speed of light.
You missed it.
So, I just point out a couple of things. Brian Cox is greatly underappreciated for his comedic roles. The actor Brian Cox. I point as examples The Long Kiss Goodnight, where he steals every scene that he is in. Steals from Samuel L. Jackson.
Who?
Okay. Brian Cox. The actor Brian Cox. And Super Troopers. He's hilarious in Super Troopers.
You know, Dave Imparado says I should do a game on space toilet continuum. That's not a bad idea. Because if you can do, if what is it? Not Simonich, but Simonson. If Simonson can do Time Tripper, I could do that. That
was Dunnigan.
What?
I mean, Simonson worked on it too, but you know what I'm saying.
I love that game because it's so crazy. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know that Michio Kaku, Mr. Mark Herman. Mark, I got something special showed up today.
Hey, Mark, I'm going to buy the book. I'm going to send it to your house, and I'm going to pay for the postage back, and you got to sign it.
Just show up at WBC. It's like a 5-hour drive for you.
Yeah, it's probably going to cost me less than shipping.
It might, actually.
Well, Mark, are you going to be at WBC next year?
I bet he is. Mark seems to go basically every year. Barring some specific thing.
Okay. I have to go. I'm changing my life, Mark. Mark, my life is changing.
So, there you go. So, in any case, is the Canada Post strike over with, or is that still going on, or what? Okay, I shipped some stuff today and got a notice that they can't ship to Canada right now. So because of the Canada Post strike.
You know, those Canada Post, I feel like pulling a Reagan with the like he did with the plane guys.
The air traffic controllers.
Yeah,
that turned out to have been a bad move in the long run.
Well,
But
of course. I mean, who the hell does he think he is? But anyway, I feel like pulling one of those because I can't stand it. I
there you
can't
go.
stand it.
Holy cow! This hour has gone super duper fast, folks.
Oh my God.
We are already an hour in, so I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Reminder that there will be no live shows next week
I didn't know that.
Well, that's what I was going to talk to you about after the show. Because the Tuesday is Christmas Eve. I can't do this on Christmas Eve. My side of the family does everything on Christmas Eve. So I got like a full Christmas Eve and a full Christmas Day, and hopefully that's it this year. That'd be great.
I'm working.
So, I'm sorry.
No,
on Christmas
you don't have to
Eve?
be sorry. Yeah, and I'm working New Year's Eve too.
I don't care too much about New Year's Eve. I'm well past the age where I got to go get buttered up on vodka on New Year's Eve. That's fine. I'm going to do the same thing I do every other weekend evening, which is sit at home and do something. So
yeah, William, it is actually I think it's 10 to 12 hours, but I stop over at a friend's house in Ithaca, New York. So it breaks it up 5 because I can't do a 10-hour drive.
A 10-hour drive by yourself sucks. I will agree with Dan on this.
I like to drive by myself. I have a pipe, naked in the car.
Yeah, but for 10 hours, you should like replace your car seat with a chemical toilet, so you don't even have to stop. And just not wear pants. I mean, you might have some trouble getting across the border in that state, but I'm just saying, if you're going for maximum efficiency. So, all right, folks, we are done for the evening. I'd like to thank everybody for watching tonight. We will be back in 2 weeks. That is a day. We'll talk about this after the show, since I'm not sure what Dan's doing if he's working on New Year's Eve. So we will figure it out, folks. But we will be back.
I'll be here for New Year's Eve. That's for sure.
Okay. So we're going to have the CHIT show on New Year's Eve. So let's talk about that after the show, Dan.
All right.
All right. Everybody have a great rest of the night. We'll see you all again soon.